Yay!
Oh, you're on mute, Danielle. And thank you, attendees, for being patient while we work through some technical difficulties.
You did it!
Well done, well done.
Hey, Dan.
Hello.
How's it going down under?
It's good. A little boring. It's very nice out, though. It's like 75.
Are you allowed out, or are you stuck inside?
No, we're allowed around and shopping, and we get out and go do things. It's just the kids are remote learning.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Danielle, I still can't hear you. The remote learning is going pretty well, I would say, though. They pack all of the lessons into like the first 2 hours of the day, and then the rest of the day is kind of like for activities you do with your parents or by yourself. So the kids are actually pretty engaged, and it's interesting to see the different styles that everyone's doing and the way that they're handling different things.
Thank you again so much for your time and patience.
There we go.
If we're all in agreement, I will serve as chair to facilitate tonight's meeting for the September 1st, 2021 Valley of the Sun Waldorf Education Association, Inc. Are there any objections? Okay, I call this meeting to order. Okay. Did I miss anyone? All right, if we can go ahead and start with introductions, please.
Dan Franks, board treasurer.
Kirsten.
Kirsten Cabina, board member.
John.
John Tanner, board member.
April.
April Sauer, board secretary.
Nellie.
Nellie Grosenbacher, board member.
Frank.
Hello, everyone. Frank Marizio, executive director.
Michelle.
I don't think she's
Michelle.
here.
Michelle Kratzer raised her hand. She's here representing parent body and thinks she'll be with us in just a moment. All right, I'm going to read the opening verse and then review some of the agenda items. The true aim of education is to awaken real powers of perception and judgment in relation to life and living, for only such an awakening can lead to true freedom. Rudolf Steiner. Anyone not here? Raise your hand.
I got it.
Okay. Well, thank you for the out of order introduction. Appreciate that. We have the financial and budgetary matters, including the enrollment update, updates on the sustaining fund and fundraising, approval of payment of the Brett Backlund invoice for audit, updates from the executive director and any COVID protocols that Frank had sent us, discussion and approval of the previous meetings minutes, protocols answering emails, board education, and community engagement. Frank, would you like to lead us in with the enrollment updates?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster of people leaving and people coming. We're holding steady at 284. Of course, that is under our 3 students of 287. We'd really like to get there because that's what the budget is proposed on. We did have a fair share of people leave with all the stuff that's going on in Arizona with masks or no masks. But it wasn't overwhelmingly crazy. I would say maybe 12 students left, and we took in probably 8 when this happened. So it wasn't a mad rush to the door, but it wasn't a mad rush coming in either because we put masks on. 284 is about right. We still had a tour last week with about 13, and paper is trickling in. So I would say even if we get 3 or 4 of those, we could be right back where we want to be. As you know, the 40th day is a big deal when they pull our numbers, and we're about 15 days away from that. So I'm not panicked yet. Everything's okay. Each day we get a couple of more, and that's good.
Are we doing anything in regards to outreach or promoting student enrollment?
No, not now. The stuff we did over the summer was helpful. And I have a banner being made for the high school to go on the outside of the new block wall, but that won't be done for another 2 weeks, just in case people don't know that's a high school, because it's not visibly marked by anything. So maybe that will help as well.
Do we offer a shadow or mentoring day to surrounding neighborhood schools?
Well, I certainly wouldn't deny anyone who called, but we don't necessarily send them emails because I don't have the way to reach the parents. All I can do is talk to a principal, and they don't have to do anything that I ask, of course. So no, there really is nothing that happens in the way of a message to people close by, because there's no way to, other than going to a parking lot and putting flyers on a car, which I know I wouldn't appreciate if another school did that to us. You kind of learn in these positions to not do to others what you wouldn't want done to you. So I have not done that.
Frank, do we advertise in Waldorf today, that would reach more on a national level?
Basically, we advertise for openings, but not for students. Our website is something that you guys, prior to me, have done a great job developing our website. And there's even a video on there that I want to say happened under Charlie's regime, which is a really nice video about the school. It's a tour of the campus. It has sound, teachers talking, the maypole. There's some festivals. There's a lot of stuff on that video. It's very nice. But as you know, if you're searching for those things, you can find them. If you're not, it just doesn't go to someone's phone or email.
Would we consider advertising on a broader scale like that? I just know that people are moving all over the country. When I drive even in the parking lot of the school, there's license plates from all over.
Well, I would say if we wanted to advertise, it should be for the high school. We only have like 6 spots open in the grades. Our grades are pretty full. It's the high school that we need students at.
Any other questions for Frank?
I've got one. Frank, with the 40th day coming up fast, are we planning on sending out any kind of a notification just to make sure that people are there and on time?
I'll do the same thing I did on the 100th day last year. And if I remember correct, our families responded wonderfully. We had 0 absences on the 100th day. So I will take the same approach to remind everyone that this is tied to funding. And the best donation you can make is to make sure your child is in school that day, because that affects us for the next 60 days. So, and as you know, we get payments monthly from the state.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Thanks, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move on, just want to again announce that the President, Gregory Schneider, is unavailable to be here tonight, but we do have a quorum reached and we did get a late start. So anyone just joining us, thank you very much. And the next item, sustaining fund with Melissa. She did break out the invoice for us. If you haven't had a chance to review that, I can have Kristen share that. I had a little bit of sticker shock with the amount, but she is willing to negotiate that if we have more, provide her more manpower, if she's giving us more of a guide. Any questions about the invoice? Has anyone had the same feedback or the feel the price is too high?
I feel like we always show up in force when we need volunteers to help with things like this. So I think we can get that price down just by having people working hard and, you know, bringing their talents to the table. I think we always help with that.
What would be a reasonable amount, you think, for us to budget that out? Because I can go back to and just say, would you be willing to do it at this amount? And this is what we can work together towards.
I don't know that I have an answer for that. This is all new to me, but I do know when we met with her that she was adamant that, you know, the more people we have helping, the lower her price would go. So I don't know if maybe we need to put that in her contract, you know, in writing. It's always smart to do if, you know, there's a price attached to her. But other than that, I don't know that I have anything to add.
Danielle, I know it was brought up in the past, and I don't know how these type of vendors work, but I'm sure none of us would complain about a cost if the profits were high. And so is there any way we can propose a scale of you get this much if we make this much, and you get more if we make more? Again, I don't know about these vendors. I don't know if you've had that conversation, but I would be willing to pay more if we make more. I mean, that's what we're all trying to do here.
So I think she had put in 10% if we did it as profit, but I felt that was a bit high, but it would be nice to increase those efforts and bring in funds. So if we didn't meet that goal, would we still be making money? Would we still be able to earn back the amount we paid her?
I recall her mentioning when she came to one of our board meetings that she doesn't really do a lot around the tax credit. That usually she said, I think that the billing department of the school handles that. So maybe that's something, I mean, we can promote on our own, since it sounds like that's generally what's done. I don't know what kind of effort she said, you know, tax credit campaign logos. I mean, those are pretty easy to pull down from website and logos, marketing materials, letters. I mean, I feel like that's kind of an easy one for us to tackle. And I don't know how many hours exactly she dedicated to that. But that might be maybe we can strip off some of those things too, in addition to asking her to give us maybe a friends and family rate.
This would be nice to just get a nice figure to say, do it for this, and we can expand on the other items, because we want to get started. We don't want to hold off any longer. And the sustaining fund we did in years past was just a simple ask. But again, we'd like to really increase those efforts and reach outside pockets, not just stress out people in the community or overtax people in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be better to do a couple of board members with her on another Zoom call? And that's where I wanted to get just an idea of what would be a decent amount, what goal we would have for that amount so that we can just present that to her and will you do it for this and let's get rolling.
I agree with that. I think you should do that.
Can we come up with just maybe a target amount that we don't want to exceed?
I think even half is high. So I'm probably not the best person to come up with that number.
Or are we okay
what was
with
the final number, Danielle? Because I know what I have in kind of a spare amount or an overage in the budget. What was her final number?
Kristen, do you mind sharing that with us?
Yeah, sure. It's 140,000.
No,
Do
how
we
much
just bring
would
up the
it cost?
invoice or should
How much
how much
did
would
we
it
pay
cost
her?
us?
Yes.
We pay her 140,000. That's what she's proposing.
Really?
Oh, I did not understand that at all. That is not even in the budget. There is no extra 140,000.
I think- I don't think that's accurate. I think that's the aim that she's trying for us to get. If you look down on the bottom left under pricing, it says total investment 9,600 to 24,000 base plus
That was-
10% if we add the gala.
That was my understanding too, that she was looking to have us reach 140,000.
Yeah,
Where is that? It's so busy on the sheet.
it's on the very bottom on the
Right.
left. It says
Oh,
pricing
the
and
first
there's a
page.
big
Sorry.
red line under it.
It was the big number at the top that was freaking me out. It's like, oh my gosh. 9,600.
9,600 sounds much better, but
And
still.
so, Danielle,
And 9,600 to 24, that's a big difference.
Is she looking to 10% though? And thinking that 9,000 would be if we were going to get 100,000?
I don't know.
She had us.
share this.
Yes, please, Kristen. Do you have the rights on for that?
Oh, no, host a stable participant screen sharing.
Okay, I'll go ahead and bring it up. Give me just a moment, please.
The last page breaks out how the invoicing would occur, where there's an initial 20 hours at $75 an hour, that would be $1,500. And then it would be kind of at 10% after the gala kicks off or wraps up. And then it has some additional notes about 20-hour blocks at $75 an hour in $1,500, basically $1,500 increments as well. That's on the second page. So it looks like it pretty much is kind of an on-demand outside of the initial 15 or initial 20 hours billing. It's not all at once or anything, or a set. Looks like it's based on need.
Did we lose Danielle?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, here it is.
As long as we're doing a pay as you go, we can always just talk about it at another point and say, okay, we feel like we've reached, our first goal, and now we're going to move on and do it on our own. I mean, I think we have some options here.
Can everyone see that one? Okay. That
That's
is the
an
old one.
Danielle.
Okay.
Yeah. It's in the drive that I sent the link to everybody.
I can read through the notes. It's pretty simple.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dan.
Okay. It says basically Melissa Sutton agrees to accept the reduced per hour billing rate as stated above, which is the $75 an hour. Which she also she does give like some estimations up above, but down in the additional notes is really where she kind of says how she will bill. So it says billed first 20 hours upon signing of the contract, $1,500 at $75 per hour rate. Additional contracted rate of 10% of revenue due within 30 days of gala event wrap up. Balance of September 2021, parentheses, if over 20 hours through April 2022 will be billed on the last business day of the billing month for the hourly rate portion of the contract. Payment is due within 10 days for the hourly rate portion of the contract. So it looks like it's the initial 20 hours is for sure. The gala, if we choose to do it, is 10%. And then after that is just billed as she works and does stuff for the school. So it doesn't seem like there's any sort of contractual obligation out of paying her for her time.
How do we feel about that quote?
I mean, I think that seems reasonable. I would say that the only thing we would need to probably define is who is asking her to do what work. Is that going to be Frank coordinating things? That can be parent teacher. Like, where's that work being coordinated? And because whoever's doing that is going to need to, and correct me if this has already been covered, but like, is going to need to be cognizant of the amount of time that she's spending and what the cost is for that work that's being requested.
And I have no problem doing that, Dan. I just would like to know that, is it 9,000 or is it 24,000? Is 9 what we pay up front and then we get billed by the hour for more stuff? I don't know if that's clear.
We should definitely ask for clarification, but it's just she didn't present the information really clearly, right? Like, this isn't like a typical like PO or anything I've seen, but it does appear that she's trying to say that the 20 hours are what we pay up front, and then everything else is kind of like as needed. But we should definitely go back to her and clarify that that's what she is saying here, and have her clarify in her quote, because it is confusing when she says total investment $9,600 to $24,000 base above, and then plus 10% of gala, and then down below she starts talking about how the 20 hours upon signing of the contract doesn't even really specify. Yeah, it's just unclear. We just need probably to go back to her and get some more information.
And what was the billing at 22 hours? It was $75 per hour. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was 20 hours at $75 an hour rate.
Okay.
It's just weird. It doesn't seem like it's crazy or anything, and it seems like it's on demand, like as needed. It's just a weird way. It's also weird how it's like balance of September, if 2021 through April 2022, if over 20 hours. Like, does that mean that she's not going to bill us if it's under 20 hours? I don't understand what that, or does that, I don't know.
Or it could be less.
Right. Or is it saying that if it's under 20 hours that maybe there's some other type of billing method that's going to be taking place? Like, I don't know what that means.
Does she have a 20-hour minimum to start?
Yes. Maybe that's what it is. If we don't reach over the $20 for the 20 hours, then she won't send us a secondary bill. but we're
That's a
on
good-
the hook for 20 hours.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's probably what it is. Makes sense.
Would we agree that 20 hours at $75 an hour is a reasonable quote, or do we want to see if we can negotiate that for maybe 10 hours?
I mean, I feel 20 hours. It seems reasonable. It seems like it's almost hard to get anything done in 10 hours, technically. You know, honestly.
Okay, so
I agree with Dan. 10 hours is not a lot of time.
so let's say it's 20 hours at the 75. Are we okay with the rate? Would we want to proceed if it's just the 20 hours at $75 per hour?
It's $75 an hour for
I'd like to see.
contract. What's that, Chris?
Oh, sorry, Dan. I'd like to see what is that first 20 hours? What is that by us? Where does she start? Yes.
And is that outlined to the right of the specific duties? It looks pretty clear on what she's doing for those 20 hours.
It does say like create tax credit campaign logos, marketing material. It doesn't really clarify like how much time each one of those sections is going to, which or like an estimate on how long those different blocks of work will take. So if we had like saying, oh, the tax campaign will take about 20 hours, but then when we get to the gala, that's going to be another 40 hours probably. Like,
So we've asked her to do separate billing so that we can entertain a gala event for another invoice. We're just talking about the sustaining fund and possibly tax credit support. So let's assume all of those items are her 20 hours. And are we okay at that rate? And then I can get clarification. If it's anything outside of that, then we can renegotiate. But if it meets those needs and we're all in agreement, then I'd like to get started.
I agree with all of that.
And Dan, I switched you to host if you want to screen share. I don't know if it's needed, but if you'd like to. Just for the Zoom features. So I'd like to move to hire Melissa Sutton for 20 hours at her stated rate of $75 per hour to organize our sustaining fund campaign and tax credit support.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Nellie. Any discussion? Or let me restate. Did you get that, April? We are to hire Melissa Sutton.
I'm catching up, but I think I've got it. You want me to read it?
I'll read it. So we're hiring Melissa Sutton for 20 hours at $75, her stated rate, to organize and implement a sustaining campaign and tax credit support. I did change a couple words. So you might want to go ahead and read it back.
It was very close. Danielle Martinez moved to hire Melissa Sutton at 20 hours at her stated rate of $75 an hour to organize our sustaining campaign and tax credit support. And I have Nellie second. Is that right? Got it.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I think it'd be good if we clarified that with her, because the way I'm reading what she's proposing doing in September also includes train, educate staff, admin, board, and parent volunteers, as well as it says design campaign rollout. Is that the sustaining fund campaign?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
it says begin work. Okay, I guess design and beginning work might be different. It says October. It says begin work on developing sustaining fund campaign. So I think the September work is all around the tax credit campaign, I believe, and then October, I think, begins the sustaining fund campaign, or might be mistaken. And then at the end of October, we start looking into the gala, if that happens.
Correct.
It does feel like there's almost no way it's going to end up just being 20 hours for the like the tax credit campaign feels like that's around 20 hours probably.
But we're also, oh, excuse me, Dan, go ahead.
No, I was just making it like we're paying as needed, like as requested, as work needs, as we want things to be done. So I just want everyone to kind of realize that it probably will take more than 20 hours to do the sustaining fund and the tax credit campaign. Maybe not, maybe like 40 hours or something. I'm not saying it's a ton, but
we've also discussed having members from the community that she's working directly with to help delegate and multiply those efforts. So if we exceed that, it would just be our own manpower. I'm not proposing that we pay her anything in addition.
Okay. Then I would just make sure she knows to let us know when we're getting close to running out of time or some sort of communication, right? Deal with a lot of contractors. It's not a bad thing. It's just,
Any other input? John, do you have a feeling one way or another with your experience when we've done these in the past?
At this particular moment, I'm not going to vote for this. Our budget is tight. I don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot here, but I can't authorize the spending of any funds at this time. I think a lot of this can be done internally. Tax credits have been something that's been going on for 20 years. I think that could be taken up internally. There should be a tax credit. That's a year-round ongoing program. I don't want to pay. I can't in good conscience vote out of the school's budget right now to pay her. So that's where I stand.
Thank you, John. Is there did we roll out any kind of tax credit requests or ask this year or last?
Yes, we did last year, but it's simple emails and parent squares. I mean, it's nothing more than that. You know, asking directly to the parent. And I almost feel uncomfortable I did it so much. You know, you feel bad after a while. I mean, it was like every month I was asking from February on.
Well, I certainly feel we could be more efficient and reach higher amounts if we, again, went outside of our community, and it would be nice to have that professional guidance to do so.
how much is like the single parent tax credit? Matt, do you remember what the dollar value is typically? I know
200 for single, 400 for married.
So basically you need 8 people an increase of 8 people to contribute
Cover that cost.
to cover that cost. And do we have any sort of feeling for what level of community engagement we received in the past? Like, is it like 30% of parents family do it, or is it like 80% or 10? Do we know?
I think it was closer to 40% with the last report, but it's been a while since I've reviewed that report, but I think it was closer to 40%. April, does that sound about right?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I think I have a better number in mind for materials fees than that, but we can always do better.
I will tell you, it was way down compared to the year before. Monique and I went over it, and clearly in a COVID year, where 3/4 of the year, the students were either not on campus or were in a blend of online and on campus. And so that affected clearly donation.
I would also say like the cognitive capacity of people to like take on an additional thing. That's like a lot. That's one of the reasons like these things don't get 100% adoption, right? It's because they have to go out and people have to actually go out and do extra work and figure out where to go to fill out the form to make it this thing and then add that to their taxes. Like it's not just like if everyone could just click and go yes, and then it would automatically come out of their taxes and go to the school, like you'd get 100% adoption. So I think like in the COVID year, everyone's mental capacity was just like this peak overwhelmed. So I would absolutely think that I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I did the tax credit, but I can't 100% state I did because it was just such a mess of a year, you know? So I think we should be comparing to the prior year versus last year. Last year is going to be just, or at least somewhere in between.
2018.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that I was able to get a list of the people who gave us tax credit and handwrite them all a thank you, as I knew that would be important. But again, maybe there were 20 families that gave an actual tax credit, not the thing that goes to fees. I'm talking about the tax credit of here's extra money, use it for extracurricular activities.
So 20 people.
Mm-hmm.
That was last year. And the year prior was roughly, or how much more than that? Or was it 40 people or?
I don't know because I didn't see the amount of people. I saw the dollar amounts that were different. And I want to say we got about $6,000 last year, and the year before it was closer to 50.
50?
Yeah,
Yeah, between 40 and 50.
I think that's correct. And
Yep.
so there's no other reason to assume it went down other than the state of what all of us were in with kids not being in school and people being online. And they're possibly thinking, what am I exactly giving this money for? My kid's sitting in my living room watching a screen to get educated. I'm sure that is going through their head. We had no festivals, no events, and typically those are the things you spend that money on. We didn't at that time do anything to the campus as far as capital projects last year. That all happened in the summer of this year. So I could see that that's why it went down.
Can I
40 to 50. Oh, go
say
ahead.
something? Sorry. I can remember the 2019 winter fair. That's what the board did, was walk around and talk about tax credits. And we didn't have that last year. So that difference. And then also there wasn't things to pay for, field trips to pay for, all of those type of things that tax credits sometimes go towards. But yeah, there's a huge gap just for 2020 being crazy. The other thing that I wanted to say is that I can remember back, I'm talking, 10, 11 years ago, kindergarten time for my oldest. And I remember the class reps encouraging people also to, there was almost somebody assigned in every class to be the encourager of tax credits. So, I guess I'm saying if we do something, if you need parent council or class reps or something of that nature, educating one person in each class on that type of thing, and then them being the promoter of it, that has helped in the past.
Well, thank you, Michelle. I'd like to find out just go ahead and take a vote. This won't only be tax credit. This will also be the sustaining fund. And it would be nice to get those dollar amounts up so that we can do more for our teachers, do more for our students. And if we can do that with her assistance, I think it's worth an effort. I call a vote. All in favor of the Melissa Sutton approval invoice? Thank you. And all opposed? In April, did I happen to miss your vote?
I voted in favor.
Thank you so much. Okay. So I have myself, April, Dan, and Nellie. I think I missed your vote as well. Well, that was in favor? Thank you. So
Yes, it
that's
was.
4. Okay. And opposed, I have John and Kirsten. Okay. Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is the approval of payment of Brett Buckland. Oh, say that 10 times fast. Brett Backlund for the audit invoice. Frank, is there any reason why we wouldn't pay that?
No, not at all. I've been in contact with Brett and Monique, the three of us talking, and it seems to have gone very well. I'm not seeing any big issues. I don't know if he's forwarded that to you yet, but no, I don't see any reason.
Yes.
It's a sound audit, and we feel good about it.
Cool. I move to approve the payment of the invoice for the audit to Brett Backlund.
I second. Brett Backlund. Thank you, Kristen. Any discussion to pay the invoice for the audit to Brett Backlund? Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Thank you. Motion passes unanimous. Any other director updates for us, Frank?
Well, I sat down with someone today and was thinking out loud about how the opening of school has gone. We're in week 4, and if it weren't for 2 little issues, I call them little facetiously, obviously we're in the midst of 2 teachers resigning that we love and are going to miss dearly, and they're Waldorf trained. And we have a 50-50 split on masks versus no masks. If those 2 issues weren't issues, we would really be looking at a fantastic opening of school because everything else is going really, really well. I feel good about the resolve in the parking lot now. That morning lot is just special now. All I did was pull cars in at 10 to 8 instead of 8 and let them all stay in the cars. Don't let your kids out until the teachers are in front of you. And basically that put 47 cars in the lot instead of in line on 28th Street, which then would cause a backup on Southern. The furthest our line goes in the morning now is to the front office on 28th Street. That's it. So there's no more line in the morning. And I can't believe with all my degrees, it took me 6 months to figure that one out. But we figured it out and the morning is going very well. I wish I could say the same about the afternoon. I don't know why our pickup is just, our families aren't as patient at pickup as they are in the morning. And I can't explain it. Our families get upset. They yell at each other. They yell at teachers. I've sent a couple emails asking for a little bit more cooperation. I don't know if it's just hotter and so they're frustrated. But pickup is not going as smooth as drop off. Drop off is really going well. And I know I see you guys pull through. So I think you feel the same way. This week has been much better with drop off pickup. The other thing is, and I did put it in the board report, I'm happy to announce that we found a 6th grade teacher. She's delightful. Her name is Mary Stevenson. She is a highly qualified teacher by state law. She is in her master's program for counseling, educational counseling. And she currently works at another charter school as a long-term sub for someone on maternity leave. And so that person is coming back October 1st. And so we can have Miss Stevenson on October 2nd. In the meantime, I'm trying to find a substitute teacher for 3 weeks. And it's been very challenging to find because even our own subs that we have within our school who recently are no longer with us, who left us under good conditions, aren't able to do that stretch of time for us. So I'm still searching. I have an interview tomorrow morning from a new candidate who just reached out to us. 8th grade, I have a sub. Dr. Darian is going to start on Tuesday, subbing for 8th grade. The teacher that we fell in love with and offered the job, who has Waldorf training from the University of Oulu in Finland, is backing out of the job because she can't find a house in the valley. They're moving from San Francisco. They've bid on at least 12 homes and have been outbid every time and has lost the home. So she feels very awkward in saying she still will take the job because she can't get here. She isn't going to work until she has a house. She has 3 little kids, 2 who would go to our school. But she can't get here. Every day she makes offers and is outbid. So I'm back to square one on 8th grade. 6th grade, I do have a teacher. And again, we are happy with her. John Tanner and Mr. Darian, the 3 of us conducted that interview and feel very comfortable that she will hit the ground running in there.
So that teacher doesn't want to move in with me.
I didn't offer that. But believe it or not, we tried to sell her the Kaiser's house. The parent that is leaving us.
House swap. Yeah, it sounds great.
Their house is for sale. And they even looked into it, but they didn't fall in love with it. So it is what it is. They're not buying that house.
Dan, you can't kick out your relatives.
Tempting.
But we do have the job posting out and available.
Everywhere, including Waldorf Today, the international subscription. I'm very happy to have a new interview tomorrow. That's fantastic. So we'll see how this goes. We do have a permanent 6th grade teacher. We have a part-time sub in Dr. Darian for 8th grade. So I need a sub for 3 weeks in 6th grade and a full-time 8th grade teacher. I'm hoping tomorrow's gentleman will at least meet one of those jobs.
Is the fellow you're meeting tomorrow, does he have a Waldorf background?
Not a certificate, but he's been involved in Waldorf.
And Frank, you had sent over the COVID protocols. Is that anything we need to vote in place or adopt?
Well, I think the last time Christy made it at school and sent it to you. I don't know if you have to adopt it or just recognize it. I don't mind if you do either one. I know it was made from following the guidelines from Arizona Health, Maricopa County, CDC. It's all blended together. There's very little difference in it other than the 10-day to 7-day. And now you can't test until 5 days after exposure. You used to be able to test after 2 days after exposure. So there's only a couple little things in there. But we included them because it's the latest information. So we're basically just following the medical profession.
I was just going to say last year we were required to. There were all of these specific things about having a mask policy and a mitigation plan. And there was a template they had to follow, and it had to be on the website by a certain day and approved by a certain day. So that was all stuff that we were mandated to do from the state. This is just a list of procedures. So I think it's kind of up to us at this point what we want to do.
Does anyone wish to recognize or call it forward?
Should probably be recognized. I think that's responsible.
I would hate for a parent to say, you told me I can't come back until 7 days, but the board didn't approve this, so I'm coming back tomorrow.
We want to give Mr. Mauricio full backing. Yes.
Okay. I'll move to adopt the COVID protocols presented by the administration for the 21-22 school year.
Thank you, Dan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'd be happy to. Okay, you beat me.
Go ahead, beginner.
Thank you, Chris. Restating the motion, we are implementing the COVID protocols for the 2021 to the 2022 school year. Any discussion?
Danielle, I have
All
a
in
question.
favor? Yes.
Hold on, I have a question. I'm sorry. As you know, we're taking that stuff right from their websites. What if that changes?
Then you would bring it back here for us to discuss and amend.
I want to make sure that, because I wouldn't want to continue with the old plan when there's new information. And as every one of us recognize, this stuff has changed 20 times since it began. So,
Frank,
okay.
that's all very, very clear in the document that was created. It says very specific things about like at this time based on the data that we have, and we have the right to change it and update it. So I think that's all covered in the document, and we've approved the document. So I think you're golden on that.
All right, very good.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. Passes unanimously. Next item, protocols for answering emails. I think we've all seen Gregory take the forefront on that, and we certainly appreciate it. Sorry he's not here, so we can all give him a thank you. Do we want to create a auto receipt, an auto-generated response that we received your email, we'll respond, and if we did want to do that, what would be a reasonable time frame to get back to someone? Standard business practices was usually 5 days, but now in this age of technology, I think 48 hours has been more acceptable. Although it would be nice that it didn't always fall on one person's shoulders.
I think we should put a range in, because typically I would say 48 hours would be a good response time, like 2 business days. But then if you get if something's really contentious, like the mask issue, and you get 9 emails and you want to actually address everybody holistic, in a non-cookie cutter way, it's just so much time to do it that quickly. I do think we should have an autoresponder.
Should the autoresponder be just someone individually saying, we received your request, this issue might take us a little bit more time, we'll get back to you? Or should it just go ahead and be an auto-generated with the time frame or not?
I think there should be some response within a few hours, even if it's just we've received by somebody that we delegate, just as we've received it. We're going to, discuss this internally and we will get back to you.
Okay.
I think that I think that our community members need to know that we're at least receiving their emails and reading them rather than have them go days without any response.
I wouldn't mind being someone who responds to them immediately saying, we received it and we get back to you. I'd be willing to do that, but I don't know that I can answer everyone's with the extent of research that is needed sometimes to respond.
I'm an over communicator. Do you think that we could do
You're hired. You do it all.
Right? Do you think we could do an automated response that is instantaneous to let them know they actually reached the correct address? Like you have reached an address that the board will see. And then within a certain length of time, an actual person responds and says, hey, we'll get back to you on this question in the next 2 days or 5 days. If it's like very big, if we could say, hey, we have a backlog of emails to respond to. It might take a little longer to get to this so that way we have that flexibility. So like you said, like have a human actually responding, but then have that initial thing where we got your email, and a human will get back to you shortly, and then the human does, and then there's the later follow up that is more comprehensive. It's 3 touch points, which is a lot, but one of those automated.
Okay. I like that. Anybody else have ideas to share?
I really like the idea of responding, I'm a human and I've received your email. That's just the way you worded that. Yeah, it's making me giggle.
Important.
Same topic, but different tangent. Last year, one of my biggest hustles was working with Laura Heaney and the LDC on getting the website up and running and updated. And obviously, there's been updates this summer as well, but I feel very comfortable on the website. I know where most of the information is. And for Matt Walker, I was previously doing a lot of the responses. And I'm happy to do that in regards to informational catching and answering in those emails. I do it as I'm already doing it on Facebook. I'm attached to the Facebook. And so I get messages all the time. How do you enroll? What are the grades? How much does it cost? All of those things. So I'm constantly sending people links. It's just, it happens all the time. And I feel very comfortable with that. So I'd be happy to jump on some more of those. And sometimes I do. I just will send Gregory a quick text. I got this one and send it out. But I'm happy to, I guess, officially throw my hat in that ring because I know I'm available and I can do it pretty quickly.
I
would like
certainly back April. Sorry, excuse me, Dan. I certainly back April doing that, working with Gregory Schneider. There are certain things that should be, all of it should be answered as quickly as possible. I know there's a lot. Some of it does require a great deal of thought. And I really have to thank Gregory for doing that. He puts a lot of time into that. So April, if you're willing to help with that, and Dan agrees, if Dan's welcome to disagree as well, of course, obviously, I would support that. And you're a board officer, April, so I would feel good about that.
Yeah, I think that's great. I just feel bad that I'm not able to jump in right now. Maybe when the kids are in school again, I'll feel a little bit more capable of helping in that area.
So did I hear an auto response, April, I'm a human, and possibly Gregory to continue most of or Gregory and April to handle that? Is that what I heard?
I'm happy to do informational requests that come in. I don't know that I can be available all the time, every time, to be the person on the end to say we've received your email. I personally like Dan's idea of an automated response, and then we can go from there. Although I'm not even sure how to do that, because we all have our individual emails, but they're all grouped through the board. It doesn't, and I'm not a tech person. Maybe that's a very, very simple thing to do, but I have no clue.
Depends on how the mailbox is set up for the board. If it's just it depends. It's the answer to that question. Worst case, we can have a autoresponder set up on like Gregory's email address, that whenever it goes to him, it would so this is an auto-generated response from the board president's email account. Someone will follow up with you shortly.
And any thoughts about when it should be a phone call versus an email? Or is that just based on availability of us as board members?
I think that might be up to the person emailing. If I sent an email to the board and someone called me, I don't know that I would answer the phone if I didn't ask them to call. That might be a little, I wasn't expecting that. I just wanted a quick response.
That came up in the contemplation, so that's one of the reasons why I'm asking. That sometimes the emails aren't interpreted the way we intend them, and
yeah,
sometimes
that's true. I think there's a simplicity in a response from a board member, and then adding if you would like to speak with me as well, I'm happy to do that to whoever is responding. I know I've done that as a parent all the time if I'm talking to teachers and I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm coming across right. Like, if you feel more comfortable talking to me, please give me a call. So I think that's a simple thing to communicate.
And the verbiage was nice. Yeah. Okay. Any other suggestions? So I'm hearing an auto response, although we'll need to figure out if it's from the board email or we choose Gregory's. And April agreed to do informational, and we'll still rely heavily on Gregory to handle the brunt.
Yeah. We could also add a autoresponder account to the board email list that wouldn't be tied to a person, but would be an actual Gmail account that would have the autoresponder on it. So no matter what, there's a way to set up an autoresponder that'll be work for people.
And what time frame are we establishing, or are we going to designate that if it's 3 to 5 for simple issues, 5 to 7 for more in-depth issues?
That seems like a fair timeline.
Okay. Any other discussion for this topic, or any?
Frank, would faculty do that? Does anyone know how to set up an autoresponder, or I guess if no one does, they can reach out to me and I can help, because I don't think we have access to the account to do that ourselves.
Anytime I have email things, I go to. Sorry, Frank.
I would agree. I noticed she's on here watching, so yeah, I would ask her to set that up. I just don't know how she can set it up from your emails. Can she control that, April?
She shouldn't be able to unless she has the password to the account. So that's like if it's not. So Deb, reach out to me and we'll talk about this and figure it out.
Great idea. Okay. Is that something we want to informally develop, or is that something we actually want in place formally? Are we considering this procedural? Are we considering email responses as procedures?
This fluctuates all the time. with who's available and who's not. And I think we just need to be better at communicating if it's too much for one person. I think oftentimes the president gets just inundated in some weeks and it just can be overbearing. So I think we just need to reach out. I know I'm often sending Gregory texts of like, you need me, I can do this one, or I could take this one, or here's some links you might be able to use. So I think we can all pitch in more just informal ways and check in.
Okay. Thank you for that. And Dan, you'll be getting with Deb, so with that can create auto responses. All right. Thank you. We shall improve in that area. The board education. So thank you again. Moving on to the next topic, unless there was any other discussion. I didn't see any head nods. Okay, keeping it informal and recognized. Thank you. So Joan was not able to join us tonight. She had some back surgery, and so she asked if she could come to our October 6th. She also asked if we wanted to send her some questions that we wanted to know more on or topics for discussion. She sent over a few suggestions, which I think could easily each topic could easily take 20 minutes each, or we can limit it to 15. But if it was more than one, just seemed to be more in depth. Is there anything on her list that you would like to start with? Or do we have other questions that were more pressing that we would rather have discussed?
I wrote down some notes. I don't know if you want us to just send you an email with our ideas of topics, or do you want us just to share right now?
Well, it would be nice to have them all compiled together so we can have a running list. But for October 6th, is there something we would be more interested in before any of the other topics? Anything that would have priority? For me as a parent, my biggest request was always, how can I support the school to home life? And I think that's where we were very successful with how we implemented the Waldorf into our home. But that may not be a topic that you all are interested in. So the first question on her list was, what is Waldorf education? I'm going out of order. Some of them was how to implement that into the classroom. The other was the 9-year-old change, the 12-year-old change. Why is Waldorf education important?
I guess I feel like we all agree Waldorf education is important, right? So I'm interested in a lot of those questions.
Yeah, I think a lot of the topics that she brought up would be great. Some of them are reviews, some of them are just going in a different direction that I've never heard discussed. Like I've heard about temperaments over and over and over again, but I've never specifically seen how does the curriculum address the temperaments. And I think that would be fascinating to listen to. I'd also love, it's not on her list, but something that I've been thinking about as we're trying to acclimate to all of these new changes with technology and having to go virtual and hybrid, just to see. I know she did a history of Waldorf education for the contemplation, but I would love to hear more about how Waldorf has evolved in just the last 20 years. And I know there's just been this, change with it going into charter schools. So I'd love to hear how it's evolved due to that, and how we can better embrace that as a community. Because there's state standards now that didn't exist when Waldorf, it came about. So we need to figure out how to embrace that and still be a firm Waldorf community. I'd love to hear her thoughts on that.
Thank you, April. Me too. Any other suggestions for October 6th? Michelle, if I may ask, has book club gotten to a point where they'll be doing your next series? Do you know what you've decided to do your next book on quite yet?
I don't think we have a specific, there were a couple that we wanted to repeat, probably almost every year. And that was the Waldorf education. Yeah, there were a few of them, but we don't have anything specific. We were going to actually talk to Dr. Darian and get him involved in the book selections also. So.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Tanner, if I may, are there things you're seeing in the classroom that parents could be more supportive or could make classroom life more manageable?
Well, I certainly like the Waldorf at home piece. If the parents aren't supporting it at home, then there's only so much we can do in the classroom. So I think that would be a substantial contribution.
Okay. Thank you.
I think it's a funny question to ask a teacher if they would like more parental involvement.
I haven't heard from all the teachers, so I don't know if it's too much, too little, or just right. But are you getting a feel, Frank? Are teachers saying they're overwhelmed with parent communication, or is it just feeling just right? Is it a balance right now, or is it too much, too little?
No, there's been no issue has come from it. Like I said, the two biggest things that they're getting, everyone's really nervous about replacing the Kaisers. That's a big deal. And of course, the communication they've been getting has been on masks, and they're basically forwarding everything to me. Please talk to Mr. Marizio. He can talk to you about that. Those are the two biggest things. The normalcy of, hey, my student forgot this, or can I get that assignment again? That's normal, and they're not having issues with that at all.
Okay, thank you. So, since I'm a little biased of the supporting the Waldorf home to school life, I'd like to start with that as well, and we can incorporate some involvement, Waldorf involvement, with that first piece. And then if you would please send in the other topics that you'd like, so we can go ahead and have a running list. And it might not always, of course, be Joan, but we can certainly use that as topics when we're inviting guests over into us. So thank you so much. Any other discussion on this particular board education piece? I don't know how Gregory, he's got her head nods.
I just
Go
wanted
ahead,
to
April.
clarify. You want us to email you our topics that we'd like John to cover? Is that what you just said? Okay.
Or add it to
I understood that.
Or add it to the document so that it's shared with all of us.
To the board
Whatever.
education document?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Great. I'll put that around again, and then people can add their own. And obviously, I'll add the ones that we've discussed today as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great. Our last item is community engagement. And Nellie and Parent Council Michelle, would you like to speak to that piece of some of the ideas you have going for this year?
Nellie and I didn't get a chance to talk. I'm sorry about that. I didn't see the email until too late. But a lot that was on the list are things that like we've done in the past, and they're we hope to get a lot of those back. more just community days, community work days, community skating, a lot of just involvement with others in the community. I think parent council still has to schedule them, but we generally have 3 like socials, 3 to 4 actually. A square dance, like a s'mores night, sorry, I'm blanking on some of them, but
Clothing exchange.
clothing exchange. A lot of times those clothing exchanges go along with,
Sometimes
like we'll
they're
do,
attached to something.
yeah, like we would do the square dance night and like a pie night, and then we would do like a book exchange or a clothing exchange or all of the above at one time. So we hope to get back to those with everything that's been going on. Really, from the board, what I've asked for in the past is parent council can put those on. We have teams that love to do that sort of stuff. And if you want to help, that's awesome. But just being there, being present, being part of the community is what means the most to us as parent council, for sure.
Have you seen board members on some of your subcommittees?
We don't have any board members. Well, actually, sorry.
We do now.
We do. Kirsten is on the hands team. So that is the community work days and volunteers sort of just coordination. So yeah, definitely. And Kirsten's been part of parent council for a couple years now. So it's awesome to have that connection. But yeah, I just actually having those events is what we need to get back to at this point.
Do you want to start small and pick an event and then, I can support in any way just to start and get the ball rolling? Is like starting with a social the best thing to do, which just brings people back onto campus, starts the healing process, and then it's, oh, right, we love being on campus, we love being with each other.
Right.
How do we get the next one going? So is there a place that you want to start? Is there an event that you want to start with that I can help support you with?
Actually, right now, our next thing is a student, is the student lunch, which is on Martinmas Day. So the 29th of September. And that would be, sorry, I was thinking.
Lantern Walk.
Yeah, Lantern Walk. We were talking about November 10th and a different thing. Sorry. Yes, so September 29th. And that would be a good start. Let's help coordinate that. And I know you helped last year, so that would be another good thing. So,
but do you need help coordinating, or you just want me to be there to help? Because I can help coordinate.
We could use help coordinating with that right now.
And Michelle, have you announced your next parent council meeting?
Actually, we haven't. We were still looking for a secretary and a couple of things and trying to figure out when we can meet and that type of thing. So we don't have that specific time. Laura and I were just talking about it tonight. So hopefully that'll come out soon.
Can you share with what else you're looking for other than the secretary?
We're looking for a class rep lead, heads lead.
And just because I'm new, and you said Kirsten's in hands, so you said, what is that? What do they do?
Projects, volunteers, community work days.
So Kirsten, are you also on parent council, or are you just there as a parent to help them?
No, I'm on parent council as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Michelle, whatever, I usually throw my hat in to everything. So I will probably be at most community events, at most parent council events, but on the back end and pre-event, whatever you need help with, I can help you with, if it's reaching out to classes, building, getting events ready, whatever you need, I'm available.
Thank you.
Dan, are you sending a proxy?
I'm not sure what to do.
Send a family member.
I might be able to
Thank you.
do that. I'll ask, actually.
So thank you, Michelle. So Nellie, and I know April's been a board representative at a lot of the parent council meetings. Do we have as soon as you get those dates, Michelle, let us know so we can look at rotating, or if April still wants to continue on her own, she may. We're happy to support that as well.
That is a question because Kirsten's on it. And then April and Danielle a lot of times will participate also. So when is it where someone can't participate or something of that nature?
Like, when does it violate the open meeting law?
Yes.
I think that's when there's more than 3 involved now, since we have 7 on the board.
Yeah. And I think at one point we were close to that, or maybe it was right when you started, Danielle, and I was at a meeting and you were in black screen and you were texting me, say this, say this, say this. Because I was there as a board rep, and that worked out just fine. I was making announcements for Danielle. So we find ways through it.
Is it just if you're not participating as a board, if you don't have your board hat on, or?
As long as board business is not discussed and we make no decisions.
Okay.
But we can be silent partners if needed, if there are more than 3 of us. Any other discussion on community engagement? So I heard board participation. You'd like us to enjoy in the festivities. Well, I am no Gregory, but we certainly made it through our agenda. Thank you very much again, everyone, for being here tonight. There's no other action to take on. We have a call to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Danielle, we need to approve the minutes.
Oh, thank you so much. I got ahead of myself. Discussion on approval of what meeting was that? August 18th, correct? August 18 yes. Meeting minutes. Thank you, April.
You want to make the motion, or someone else want to make it?
I move to approve the August what?
18th.
August 18th minutes.
Second. Any discussion for the approval of the meeting minutes from August 18th of 2021? All in favor? Any abstaining? Any opposed? Okay, we have John abstaining. Everyone else in favor?
I missed you, Dan. Dan
Dan.
voted in favor.
Oh, excuse me. Okay. I didn't see the hand at all. I don't think he wanted to vote on his own motion. Thank you. Appreciate the reminders. We have just a couple of announcements. Town hall scheduled for September 20th. Board applications can start. We'll be doing that in November. Next meeting will be September 15th. And thank you everyone for being here. Is it verse before the close, or is it closed before the verse?
Close before the verse.
Thank you. I move to adjourn tonight's meeting, September 1st, 2021, Valley of the Sun Waldorf Education Association, Inc.
A second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, did I skip you? Any opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. And John, if you would, please.
I'm turning to it. Here we are. The most important task for humankind today and in the future is that we should learn to live together and understand one another. If this human fellowship is not achieved, all talk of development is empty. And that is Dr. Steiner.
Thank you. And again, since I am new to holding this meeting, anyone watching, please be ensure to log your attendance, please, so I don't miss anything whatsoever. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.